Stephen Ballot of OLX and Corbus Ehlers from SnapScan are joining me in studio. Today we're going to be chatting to them about their predictions for mobile trends moving forward. Hello.
Hi, Jane.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you both for coming in.
Thanks.
Now we're talking about mobile trends. You guys both are very forward-thinking, I think, when it comes to tech in South Africa. What trends are we seeing now? What can we expect to see for the rest of the year?
Well, I think Corbus sits here next to me with a product that's largely only based on app experience, where people download an app, and that's the main way that he's going to make big money in future. So I think making a successful business out of just an app was totally unthinkable a few years ago.
And then what about from your side? What about from a OLX perspective? What kind of trends are we seeing when it comes to e-commerce?
So for us, most of our users are transitioning to app like faster than we can almost keep up with. We're trying to make our app experience so much more richer and moving away from a thinking of how can we build features on desktop and then migrate them to app, but rather to think how can we build features on the app and maybe shut down the desktop side, who knows?
Is that something we can expect in the future? Is desktop going to die?
I wouldn't go that far. I think there's a place for different form factors, and some things, if I want to work on Excel spreadsheet, I'm not probably going to do it from my phone right now. But we do see, at least in our world, enormous growth in the kind of things you can do on your phone. I mean, if you look at the average viewer today, most of them would read their email on the phone, listen to music, take photographs, all of these things on our mobile. And a lot of those used to be a lot more complicated before. So I do think there's a trend, but I wouldn't quite kill the desktop just yet.
Do you think desktop is going to die?
Yes, I do. I believe that desktop will be like print, where it's just a really small niche audience is using it, and most of the interaction on consumer-facing products will be app only.
That's so hard for me to believe, because I think any office I walk into, everyone is using a desktop, and I don't think that's going to change. Do you anticipate maybe desktops being replaced by iPads or tablets in the future when it comes to work environment?
I don't want to state the obvious, but a lot of these offices downstairs have sort of been cleaned out of people. I think we're moving towards a mobile workforce, and a mobile workforce is not tied to an office. It's tied to having your location reported maybe. And for that, an app is so much stronger than a desktop computer. I think also if you look at just global PC sales, I mean, they reflect also sales to companies, and those have been declining rapidly for the last few years, and whereas smartphone sales have skyrocketed. So I do think there's a chance that yes, as I said, you still have the niche desktop market, but definitely moving towards a place where even work is done on apps only.
I think that even in the desktop context, things are becoming more mobile. So if you look at the latest ultra-portable laptops, new MacBooks, for example, they're extremely light and portable. They're essentially an iPad with a keyboard. So I think that line is also blurring. What I will tell you is I'm probably not going to read a very long document on my phone. So I think screen size has an impact, and I think that isn't necessarily tied to sitting behind a desk with a big machine standing on it. So as far as that goes, I think I agree.
Now, how has app and mobile affected the business and how businesses operate here in South Africa?
Well, from our side, I think it's been that you need to change the way that your staff thinks, right? So if your customers are largely moving towards app-only experiences, it means that every time you design things that how you want to improve the experience, it's kind of pointless to do the desktop designs. You have to think on what would the app experience be, and how can you use the things that's inside of the device to make that experience better, instead of thinking how can I make this thing fit on a PC screen. So that's a challenge for businesses to change their thinking on how they design their products if they have online products. And I think secondly, where their customers are going. I think if we look at what is especially happening in the banking sector in South Africa, all of the banks now are sort of putting more and more resources on making their internet banking on the apps, that experience much better. And I think that's a transition that they maybe weren't as prepared for as, say, other industries.
I think where I'd maybe sort of slightly differ there is that I don't think it necessarily is going to be an app-driven or app-only environment. I do think that mobile and app is also not exactly the same thing. So I buy that people have freedom of movement now that was previously unthinkable, and that you can do your work from basically anywhere. I think some of it will still be on the web, probably on a mobile device. I'm not entirely convinced that everyone is going to install an app for every purpose. For some, like banking, absolutely. For some others, I suspect that's still up in the air.
But I want to challenge Quibus on that, because it depends what your end state is. So we can always debate about timelines here. We can always say, not maybe today, right? So like today, I'd look like a fool if I say today is absolutely app only. But how long do we take that number? Is 5 years? Then is that long enough scale? Or is it a 10-year scale? Do you then become uncomfortable to still say that desktop is not just a niche? Like I do, I become super uncomfortable if someone says 10 years from now, like you'll have people sitting in an office typing on a desktop computer. I absolutely don't buy that.
Look, I think mobile is definitely the trend that we see. I don't think it's a complete move there, and I think on the app versus web side, it really is going to be what the ease of use or the customer experience is all about.
Yeah.
So if I have to download an app and set up an account every time to use it, and I want to do one thing on there, let's take airline apps for example. So if I don't travel regularly and I want to book a ticket, I'm not going to install an app to do that. I'm just going to do it through the website and move on with all the things I have to do in my life. If on the other hand I want to, for example, do mobile payments, I'll quite happily install an app for that and use it several times a day to do it. So I think it's horses for courses.